The power of influence, the high praise, the platform, connected to power where there is no division. There is a story in the book of Acts that King Herod, he wore his finest apparel and he sat on his throne, gave a speech to the public, and the public received him and honored him for it and said that this person here has the voice of God and not of man. And the mistake that Herod did was he took that praise unto himself and not gave it to God where it belongs. Now we know that worms come after a body is decomposed. In this case, Herod's case, the cycle was switched. Once he received that glory to himself, immediately he was struck with sickness until he died. And he didn't just die. Worms ate on him until he died. It's a bad way to go out. If your heart is in the wrong place, you will use what God gave you to bring glory to yourself and not to Him. There is some dangers of using the scripture for selfish gain, even using verses as ammunition against someone when the sword shall only be used to cut off strongholds and demonic principalities, and not weaponize God's word towards another soul, but to only do it in the form of compassion, to teach, to reach, to train in righteousness. Comparison in the church devalues the lifestyle of a believer because comparison only strengthens self by elevating one's pride. Achieving greatness does not necessarily mean success or satisfaction. But when it comes to growing in the church, it's not about how many, but who and where does the souls belong to? Certainly not us. We are meant to take care of the sheep as shepherds, not count how many and compare to others, because ministry is not about comparison nor competition. Some time ago, I picked a day, matter of fact, a few days, and just watched some of my videos and replying to other people's comments. But I started to listen to myself, and I realized that, the things that I'm saying to other people was also something that I can even use to myself. And these words, these projects is definitely not for my own glory. It's not. I mean, some things you may find humorous, but that's just a side of me. But to bless the church, and even with this is actually all the work that I had to put together in doing this video. Yeah, it is kind of fast, but I'm just showing you, it is about dedication. I'm not showing this to you as in showing out or showing off, but this to show that this is work being spent. This is time being spent for your sake and also for mine, because I'm also learning myself as I go along. For years I have used online media sites, Black Planet, Mihente, Asian Avenue, MySpace, Twitter, and just try to share as much information that I can gather, given our resources. Ministry isn't about models, glamour, and getting attention. It's about working, reading, studying, dedicating your time, that before you supply words from God, you first must apply it to yourself. I know that there are beautiful women that is in the ministry, and no homo, there are handsome men as well that is in the ministry. And I'm sure that not to use their looks just to bring souls to the Father, but the time, the hard work, the effort, the love of the Father, and just sharing the gospel It is tremendous. It is powerful. It's not about trying to modelize yourself just to get attention, because as you have heard, as me telling you this story by King Herod, that what he did is that he took the glory to himself, and using that testimony that's written, in the scriptures, that's kind of scary. That it can either happen to any one of us or even something worse. But again, God's grace is so good on us that we can at least change, and we know that, okay, let me just chill out for a bit, because ministry is not just about me. Whatever I'm leaving behind is going to be carried to someone else. It's not worth going to hell for, trying to bring glory and praise to yourself. It's not. Give God the credit where it's supposed to be. Give God the credit where it's not about you or about what you do. It's Him that's doing it through you. Okay? Everything can be so politically correct, and too often there are those who have a need to preach. They have a need to teach. But what is the moral behind their movements? What is their motives behind their calling? Is they calling themselves to do something, to gain something from it? A few times I have met people that they have to speak, and sometimes it's even on something that they have no idea. They just hear from somebody else's testimony, or there's someone else's experiences, but never truly had one of their own. It's like someone talking about heaven or hell so big and so popular, and just being almost an expertise about it, but yet never had their own vision, never had their own dream about it, but just simply taking what someone else says. I mean, it's okay to share, but then again, using it to glorify yourself is dangerous. Ministry can be a dangerous thing. I'm gonna just put it like that. I'm gonna be honest. Ministry can be a dangerous thing. I remember reading this book, A Divine Revelation of Hell by Mary Kay Baxter. I mean, the first time I read that book, I couldn't even finish it because it was like I was being hit by flames. I'll talk about that later on, but there was a story in there where Mary Kay Baxter seen like these little people carrying this box, and as she walked with Jesus and got closer to the box, she realized that it was someone screaming. It was a guy screaming in that box. And that box was actually a casket, and it was demons marching around, stabbing the box. And the guy is just screaming, and the guy that was actually in that casket was a pastor. I mean, I personally thought like being a Christian will just that name, being one, will save you from that place. Not knowing that there are also Christians that it is in that place. I mean, you can claim to be something, but you got to live it out. There was this saying that I can't remember where I heard it from, but it says that if you have something to prove it by the way you live. I had a bad place in my life. I mean, it was bad for me. And I would drown myself listening to sermons. I mean, from preachers, teachers, ministers, deacons, bishops. I mean, I would literally develop itchy ears because whatever they had to say, I needed to hear it. And I was at work one time, and I actually heard the Father spoke to me. It was loud and clear, and He said, "Stop listening to that." I wasn't scared, but I was surprised. Like, I mean, even He cares about what I do, all of us. And I immediately turned YouTube off for a couple of months. When I realized that I understood why He said that, because when He speaks, He also gives understanding. And I understood why He said that, because I was drowning myself listening to people's opinions and sermons and yet not listening to Him.